I'll never understand how a parent can just abandon a child. I mean, it's 2025. If you're going to have kids, plan them. There's there's no reason to bring a child into the world without a plan. And even if your plan doesn't go as intended, it's all about making adjustments. So I have kids, and I do whatever I can to make sure that they eat, they sleep, they have a place to live, they're educated. But I guess not everybody's focused like that. The truth of the matter is, I predominantly raised myself. Now, I had parents. I had a mom. I had a dad. But they were working. And my dad, he always knew where he was, and he always picked up the phone. And, over the last 20 years, we built a pretty good relationship. I know that, life isn't perfect. Circumstances happen. Problems arise between parents, between men and women. And sometimes situations become intolerable. Perfectly fine. Don't sit in situations that are not conducive to your well-being, your mental health, your emotional health, physical health. Don't stay in situations like that. But as far as possible, make sure that whatever seed you sow, whatever child you bring into the world, do your best to give your best, even if your best isn't enough. You may feel inadequate. You may feel that life threw you a curveball, that you made a mistake. But there's no such thing as a mistaken birth. Because even now, there are caveats to this, but what I'm specifically speaking about is a man and a woman coming together and having a child. And if y'all had the child, then it is your equal responsibility to make sure that that child has a foundation, a footing, to engage life head on. I know it wasn't planned, but it happened. Now, my kids were playing. Me and my wife sat down. We decided we were going to have kids, and we had kids back to back to back, 2 years apart. And now we're done. But that's not how it always is. I was well established. I had a job. I had 2 college degrees. My wife had a degree. I was, gainfully employed, had savings, had a place to live, had a new car. So it was just the timing was perfect. I was 33 years old. But oftentimes we find that there are individuals who, without preparation, without planning, without forethought, they just became with child. No, it didn't just happen. There was a choice. There was a choice between you and that partner. I'm specifically speaking to consensual relationships. There are caveats. So I just don't understand how someone can walk away from someone that they brought into the world. I didn't have a choice to be your child. I didn't. But I am glad that your decisions brought me into the world. I don't know the context around your birth, but for me, I'm thankful that I'm here. I'm thankful that my mom and daddy came together and had me. Do I have issues with my parents? Some, but that's just normal. I mean, truth of the matter is, I'm going to do my best to get to know my parents, and there's really nothing that they can do about it to prevent me from saying, hey, I'm still here. But for those of you who feel like they didn't get enough from their parents as children, they're not getting enough from their parents as teenagers or young adults or adults, like their parents dropped the ball. Listen, then in this life, you're going to come to the realization that situations happen and your mom or your dad might just be, they might just be a bomb. Let's just be honest. They might just be no good. They might lack self-control. They might lack awareness. They may have mental conditions that are preventing them from coming your way and showing you the love. You got to ask yourself the question, what is the capacity that my parents possess to be a parent? Because not everybody who has a child is going to be a good parent. I mean, lifes, and we have to understand that it's not going to be perfect. But I encourage you to take full advantage of the time and the responsibility that you now have to raise your own kids and meet your own person and fall in love, and make sure that you don't bring someone into the world that you're not prepared to be responsible for. And if you find yourself in a season where you've made decisions and you've done things and you've brought children into the world, do your best to make sure that above all else, that child understands that you care for them. You may not have all the money, you may not have all the resources, you may not have all the frills, you may not have all the fancy clothes and all of that, but at least let someone know, specifically your child, that you really do care, that you really do love, that you really do have a place for them in your heart and in your life. Because at the end of the day, they wouldn't be here without you, and your life wouldn't be the same without them. And don't be, I just don't understand how a parent can place the responsibility of building a relationship on the child that they brought into the world. Because you're talking about a baby, you're talking about an infant, you're talking about a toddler, you're talking about a youth. I mean, you're talking about a child, and a child should not be seeking and searching out their parent to have a relationship with them. It's that's not how it actually works. The way it actually works is you're supposed to take care of your child, and you're supposed to have a relationship with your child, and that child doesn't have a choice until they get about 18, 19, 20, 21. But the truth of the matter is you're supposed to be guiding your children throughout their life until they are able to be differentiated from you, meaning they become their own person. And a child should not become their own person at 5, 10, or even 15. They should be given the grace and the liberty to discover who they are without the responsibility of trying to build a relationship with their parent who is not making themselves available for a relationship or to a relationship. Or it doesn't make sense. It will never make sense for me to think that my 3 little kids are obligated to seek me out and build a relationship without my input, without my help, without me responding in a way that is any other way than, hey, this is my baby boy. Like, can a mother forget her chicks? Or can a mother hen forget her chicks? It just doesn't make sense that you spent your whole life seeking after your parents who brought you in the world. That they should be ashamed of themselves. If you have a child that you are not actively trying to be involved with, you're not actively building a relationship with, and that child is under the age of 21, shame on you. Shame. How can you get up every morning without saying hello? Or how can you get up every morning without giving your child a hug? What the hell? It just doesn't make sense. But I understand circumstances, situations. But don't let a circumstance or a situation be the reason why you don't try. And after you tried, I would counsel you to try again and again and again. You should be trying until you either succeed or you succeed, because that's your child and you brought them in the world. And I don't care what the relationship is with their parent, with that other person, because, just because you have a baby with somebody doesn't mean that the relationship is going to be smooth. But regardless of who you brought that child in the world with, you have the responsibility to get to know your kid. And if the other parent won't let you get to know them, I would do everything in my power to make sure that I am able to get to know my kid. And I don't understand how a parent can walk away, but I do understand that it happens every day. And the challenge is, what are you going to do now that you have kids, now that you are responsible for your children? What are you going to do? Because I'd be doggone darned if anything, living or dead, should prevent me from doing my best to get to know my kids. They should all. It's not a question of getting to know them. I should know them because they're mine. And I'll never understand how a parent can abandon or walk away from a child with no remorse or no recourse. Like, oh, no, you were just irresponsible, emotionally inept. And if you're unwilling to realize that it's your responsibility to train up your children in the way they should go while they're young so that they will have a foundation, if you neglect that, that's on you. But for me, I'm going to be there every step of the way, because if I brought you in the world, I'm going to teach you how to live in the world. That's my responsibility. I understand my responsibility, even if my parent didn't understand theirs.